marching to new heights of development under the dynamic and young leadership of Dr. Pramod Sawant. A visionary leader, a meticulous administrator, tirelessly working on the dream to take Goa ahead. Goa Ahead is brought to you by the Department of Information and Publicity, Government of Goa.
Today's topic is fresh amendments made by the Government of Goa in the Lokayukta Act of the state. The controversial amendments were passed in the winter session of the Assembly held last week. What's wrong with the amendments and why from legal fraternity to civil society, everyone is perturbed by the changes?
It is a known fact that several indictments by the Goa Lokayukta in cases related to public functionaries, including former Chief Minister, ex-ministers, as well as sitting cabinet members, all from BJP, led to the recent amendments to the Goa Lokayukta Act 2011. With passing of the controversial bill in the State Assembly, the Ombudsman body, which will now be at the mercy of the state government for approval before going ahead with the investigation in the cases, will be a mere toothless tiger with dilution of all its major powers. It all started with India Against Corruption movement in April 2011, when anti-corruption crusader Anna Hazare began fast unto death demanding implementation of Lokpal and Lokayukta Act. Even though Lokpal bills were introduced in 1971, 1977, 1985, 1989, 1996, 1998, 2001, 2005 and 2008, none of these were passed. This led to the public movement of a Jan Lokpal bill initiated by Hazare and others such as Kiran Bedi and Arvind Kejriwal. Under public pressure, which gained momentum just ahead of Lok Sabha election, the then UPA-led government was compelled to introduce its own bill called the Lokpal Bill 2011 in the parliament. Another version called the Jan Lokpal Bill 2011 also emerged. With this, Goa, which was ruled by Congress supposed to go for polls in early 2012, decided to draft its own Lokayukta Bill 2011. The then Chief Minister, Digambar Kamath, entrusted the task to the Law Commission headed by ex-Union Minister Advocate Ramakant Khalap. Accordingly, examining all available versions of the Lokpal and the Lokayukta bills, Goa Lokayukta Act 2011 was drafted and passed by the State Assembly in October 2011. The President of India granted its assent in May 2012 by the time the then Manohar Parrikar government took over the reins of the state. The act was notified in the same month. However, its implementation took nearly a year. It was in March 2013, the state's first Lokayukta Justice, retired Sudarshan Reddy, was appointed. However, since its implementation, the Ombudsman body has been into controversy. The first controversy hit in October 2013, when the first Lokayukta, Reddy, tendered his resignation within 8 months of resuming the charge, citing personal reasons. The actual reason behind the resignation is still unknown. The chair remained vacant for nearly 2.5 years. It was in April 2016 that Goa got its second Lokayukta Justice, retired P.K. Mishra. He retired from the office in October 2020, expressing complete displeasure over government's ignorance to all the 22 reports recommending action against its ministers and babus to act on. While leaving the office, Mishra stressed on the need to grant more powers to the Ombudsman body to make it stronger. The Dr. Pramod Sawant-led government, however, acted contrary to that. Since its introduction in 2011, the Act has gone through several amendments. In 2013, the Parrikar government introduced the first amendment by deleting contentious clause pertaining to the veracity of the complaint filed with the Ombudsman. However, the amendments were strongly objected by RTI activists and opposition, forcing the governor B.V. Vanchu not to record its approval. The 2021 amendments, which has shocked anti-corruption crusaders, experts and oppositions, the government justifies, stating that it is with a view to bringing the act in line with provisions of the Constitution of India. The Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 has the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 as amended vide the Prevention of Corruption Amendment Act 2018. A new section 2B123 has been passed omitting provision enabling complaints on allegations of lack of integrity, nepotism, guilty of corruption and misuse his position. Earlier, Section 2, Clause B had allowed action against public functionaries in case of corruption, nepotism, favoritism. Section 2(1), word maladministration replaced with the Corrupt Act. Section 2(1), the provision of maladministration basis on investigation to be held is being omitted. Section 3(2) has been allowed appointment of judge of the Supreme Court or a judge of High Court as Lokayukta, while the person to be appointed as Lokayukta shall be a presence of eminence in public life. Earlier, only a Supreme Court judge or Chief Justice of High Court was eligible as Lokayukta and Justice of High Court as Lokayukta. Section 9(2) has been amended. While the Lokayukta was earlier empowered to conduct detailed investigation after forwarding a copy of the complaint to the complainant public functionary and competent authority, the proposed amendment states that prior sanction shall be obtained before the initiation of such investigation in cases where the law provides for prior sanction.
If at all you want to have an actual Lokayukta, let it be good people elected who are qualified to be judges, appointed or qualified to be judges, who will take relevant decisions, and the decision should be binding, maybe appealable to a court, High Court or Supreme Court, not going back to the government. So these amendments are irrelevant. The act itself is completely innocuous, and we do not need to go into the amendments at all, because those amendments do not further reduce the powers of the Lokayukta. But even without the reduced powers, Lokayukta is of no use to us. Therefore, I think that the entire act needs a complete overhaul if it has to be of any use and if it will help reduce corruption.
Instead of strengthening the Lokayukta, according to me, they have weakened the Lokayukta. All that the last Lokayukta did was to give reports based upon complaints made by him, and all the reports have been rejected. The government did not act on the reports, but these reports brought adverse publicity to the government. The government, in the election year, our elections are due in 2022. At this time, they do not even want this adverse publicity, and according to me, the government and the people must now rise up and tell the government that we do not want this farce called the Lokayukta, because unnecessarily we will be spending crores of rupees on this institution which is not worth it.
New amendments to the Lokayukta Act, which have just been passed by the Goa Legislative Assembly, in my view, is a death knell for the Goa Lokayukta body which will be functioning.
The government has already initiated process to appoint new Lokayukta, with High Court granting 3 months' time to complete the process.
From an anti-corruption body with teeth to a toothless tiger to a paper tiger, and now probably reduced to a cat without claws, the Goa Lokayukta may well be redundant in coming days. Prishank Mahatme for Goa Ahead.
And to discuss on this controversial topic, I have three panelists with me. First, Vice President of Goa Forward Party, Durgadas Kamath. Durgadas, welcome to the show. Second, I have Senior Leader and Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Valmiki Naik. Valmiki, welcome to the show. And joining me online is a Congress legislator and Senior Member of the Congress Party, Alex Reginald. Durgadas, I will start with you. When you look at these amendments, what are the problems that you see?
I think in 2012, when BJP had taken high moral grounds against then Congress government with regards to corruption, people voted them to power. Now, the same BJP government, post Parekar, has started diluting the act. They have gone ahead, they are playing like a T20 match. the government, the three linear projects, the coal project, everywhere corruption is involved. And to save their skin so that activists, the opposition party like Goa Forward Party do not go to the Lokayukta. Because in the previous issue, we have shown them in the labor gate scam how we took the issue to the logical conclusion. So now, by bringing these amendments to dilute the Lokayukta Act, they have got the official license to loot and scoot. And now we can say that this party, Bhai Janata Party or the BJP, can be termed officially as the Bhrashtachari Janata Party in the state.
Okay. Valmiki, your opening remarks and what are the problems that you see in these amendments that worry you as a citizen of Goa and a member of a political party?
The Bharatiya Janata Party with late Mr. Manohar Parrikar as their leader, they gave certain assurances. Now, we knew, that time I was in India Against Corruption before Aam Aadmi Party was formed. We knew that this was just a jumla, that even the BJP had no intentions of fighting corruptions or having a strong Lokayukta Act. So at that time, we asked them to give it in writing. And this is the letter that the Bharatiya Janata Party gave. This is dated February 2012, 1 month before the Goa elections of 2012. On the basis of this, the Bharatiya Janata Party won the biggest mandate. People actually thought that Mr. Parrikar would remove corruption in Goa. But after getting elected, we saw the true colors of this BJP government.
Alex Reginald, you are one Congress legislator who comes from a young generation. You are there in the assembly when these amendments were passed. How do you comment on them?
Amendment पडाले assemblyत. लोकपाल आणि लोकायुक्तक जे पण एजुकेशन झाले to strengthen India and make it corruption free. आणि ते हेजेर वचुवाचेर आमगेले काँग्रेस गव्हर्नमेंट उडयल्लो. आज कितें आहा? So it is completely against those principles of corruption free India. म्हणजे लोकायुक्त strong करपाक. Even लोकायुक्त in per se person choice of person पासून तेजे पासून dilution. म्हणजे they want to put their own party man. आता second thing I want to tell you that let us be very clear about this act. Dilution of powers of the Lokayukta is a one step close to corruption. म्हणजे you are promoting corruption. So we as for in the assembly we have fought against it. We didn't want any amendments as it is because it was a weak Lokayukta as it is. म्हणजे जो complaint झाले त्यो complainant आजपासून 1% action झाला and action झाल्यार it is just for show action. So we look forward to have a strong Lokayukta.
Durgadas, what disturbs you the most? You have gone through the amendments. What disturbs you the most?
See, government has proposed around 9 amendments to the act. I think former Lokayukta Mishra was right. Before leaving the state, after ending his term, he made a couple of statements. One was that he said, God alone can save Goa. Second, he said, institution of Lokayukta should be abolished. And third, there was an article on Indian Express where it said that Lokayukta lives as a dejected man. So this, he knew it clearly that something is going to happen. And if the way that things are continuing, the Lokayukta Act would be diluted in such a way that a peon from Bharatiya Janata Party office can be appointed as a Upa-Lokayukta. You see, there's an amendment brought in to appoint a Upa-Lokayukta. A person to be appointed as a Upa-Lokayukta shall be a person of eminence in public life. Means tomorrow you will say that a peon from BJP office, you will say that this person was eminent in public life and you will appoint him as a Upa-Lokayukta who was there. We could take labor gate to the logical conclusion. Now it's pending with the ACB. It's hatching eggs there. Nothing is happening.
Valmiki, you have gone through the amendments. What disturbs you the most?
Like I said, history is repeating itself. When I finished my first comment, at that time, the BJP CM, Mr. Parrikar, was only trying to delay the enactment and strengthening of the Lokayukta. In fact, he brought in amendments in 2013 that even further weakened the already weak Goa Lokayukta. Some of these included punishing the complainant, not punishing the corrupt, but punishing the complainant with large fines of 1 lakh if the complaints were found to not be proved. Now, I think anybody who even complaints with some sort of positive intention, maybe they're not able to prove the case, but they should not be fined. So it was like a deterrent for the complainant rather than against corruption. A couple of other amendments that he tried to move, and civil society was successful in stopping him from doing that. One was this amendment of deemed rejected. Whenever something goes to a recommendation from the Lokayukta goes to the government and the government does not take action for 3 months, then the Lokayukta Act said that it was deemed to be accepted. That means the government accepts that whatever the Lokayukta has recommended is correct. Mr. Parikar tried to make it into deemed rejected. This means that all he had to do was just sit on the Lokayukta's report for 3 months and it would be rejected automatically without him having to say that we are rejecting the Lokayukta amendments. So these are the things that, that were done, and I saw the same thing in today's amendment where the deemed acceptance clause has been removed. So I think Mr. Pramod Sawant is repeating the history and is trying to take off the political weight of saying something against the Lokayukta recommendations by saying that they're just going to sit on the report for 3 months and it will be deemed as rejected.
Reginald, very simple question. What are the powers you want Goa Lokayukta to have?
Lokayukta should have powers where if complaint is proved with evidence and everything and comes to a conclusion that a person is corrupt, he has to be removed from office, removed from his post without any sanction or authority or mandatory prosecutions from the government. This should be the power of Lokayukta. Lokayukta clear as per Yedurappa, look at Yedurappa's action zale. Te action tedo zalo mun thing government gello. Ye bitai corruption is sarke full swing chalo tinga. Goyant for corruption zala itu levelache paula ha ki that the dilution of Lokayukta endorses the corruption. So we want a Lokayukta which is strong, which will take action. See, successive government, हर कोना एक government है पर no power is permanent, no position is permanent. Please remember that anybody's government will come, but आज जे step गया था Lokayukta is clear cut indication. जे पड़े भ्रष्टाचार यहाँ corruption यहाँ ते promote करपाक ते बंद जाता Totally strong Lokayukta is a need of hour. We will not change. If we go to ruling, if we again we go to ruling, we will not change. Stand is very clear. Ani here for that dilution dila to next munchak ani dilute करबा facilitation data. So we are very clear. We will fight to see that we have a strong Lokayukta in place.
Durgadas, what are the powers you want Goa Lokayukta to have? You have gone through these amendments. There is an absolute dilution of powers. What do you want Goa Lokayukta to have? Because what happens is when somebody is in power, they talk one language. When somebody is in the opposition, they talk another language. And same allegations are leveled against your party also. So when you are in the opposition today, the fear is you may say one thing today, and if you are in power tomorrow, you may say another thing.
See, let me make it very clear on record. We have learnt our lessons enough. We have moved a Lokayukta amendment bill. As a private member bill, Vijay Sardesai moved it, our party president, in the recently held assembly session. Government didn't even bother to place this, list it in the business of the assembly. We will move this bill again in the upcoming session if it is held in the month of March. We want government to accept this amendment which we have moved, and this has to be enforced. Otherwise, there is no point in having the Lokayukta office. Waste of public funds. We are going to spend crores of rupees on maintenance of the building, on the other basic amenities, facilities, staff, everything, and nothing is going to happen.
What are the powers you want Goa Lokayukta to have? Because I heard a very nice statement in the assembly when somebody said that we have made Lokayukta a toothless institution via these amendments. Somebody said that not toothless, they already were toothless. Now you have reduced them to a paper tiger. So, if that is so, what are the powers you want the Lokayukta to have?
Right. First of all, the Lokayukta himself or herself should be somebody of certain stature. One of the amendments that the BJP government tried to bring in 2013 was to increase the qualification of the Lokayukta. Now, they had done it with an ulterior motive, but we didn't oppose it because we thought we would get somebody with good stature. They had done it with an ulterior motive because they had put very specific rules for selection of the Lokayukta. It has to be a Supreme Court judge, can't be more than 73 years. And the intention, the ulterior motive was to make it so difficult to find a Lokayukta that the post would remain vacant. And they tried to do that. But it backfired. They were able to find Mr. B. Sudarshan Reddy, after that Mr. P.K. Mishra, and we have seen how they have left in frustration. So now in Goa, they've again tried to move this amendment, trying to dilute the stature of the Lokayukta. And like Durgadas said, I think even with anybody can become a Upa Lokayukta. So I think this is a very dangerous thing. Another few of the powers that we have been demanding right from the India Against Corruption days are, one is that the Lokayukta has to be, first of all, person of stature, and he should have independent powers of investigation and prosecution. You cannot use the government's resources and the government machinery to investigate the government, because you will never go anywhere. So, like we said, we wanted a Uttarakhand style Lokayukta which had its own investigation powers, it had its own police force that would investigate independent of the government's control and influence. And after that, after all the facts are brought, then the Lokayukta could be a complainant himself and take this case to its logical conclusion. Till today, what was happening, even with a toothless Lokayukta, at least the information of the scams were coming out. So even though there was no consequences, there was no action being taken on the government, nobody was being punished, at least people were coming to know of the amount and the magnitude of the scams of the BJP. These dilutions are intended only to stop even that information from coming out.
But the Bharatiya Janata Party and their leadership has a reasoning of their own.
There are 5 amendments which have been brought into. First of all, the amendment of the selection from the High Court as a High Court retired Chief Justice, retired High Court Justice to be appointed as appointed as a Lokayukta of the state. This is first amendment which was, because every time you have to approach the Supreme Court or otherwise, and it was a very difficult process. So as a result of which the government decided to bring in the amendment, as a result of which the retired judges from the High Court itself could be appointed as the High Court as a Lokayukta. This is one thing. Now the second one which has been brought in is regarding the word maladministration has been deleted, and the word corruption has been retained. It's not that a corruption has been deleted. In fact, what has been given to people have been believed to understand that the word corruption has been deleted. No, the maladministration has been deleted, because for the simple reason, because maladministration, for you something may be mal, but for me it may not be mal, so it is subjective. So therefore maladministration has been deleted, but the word corruption has been retained. So the people have got every right to approach the Lokayukta to redress their grievances so far as the corruption charges are concerned. So obviously it is there, very much there. The second one is regarding, in fact, regarding the prior sanction. Now, if you could remember, in 2017, the Prevention of Corruption Act was amended, and it has been said that a prior sanction is required. So now in the Lokayukta Act also, if suppose something needs to be done, then in that case, if suppose the under Prevention of Corruption Act, because the Lokayukta normally goes into the charges of the corruption. So if that is the case, in the Prevention of Corruption Act, if suppose the sanction is required, so then in that case, obviously this is also required in this act. So as a result of which that provision has been made in the amendments which have been brought into.
So the permission to investigate and change the definition of corruption, why it is, and the powers of Lokayukta has changed.
No, definitely. See, as I have said it, the powers have not been changed. Neither the powers have been in fact reduced, or nothing has been done. Neither it has been tampered with. What has been done is basically the prior sanction. What has been said is the prior sanction is required. If suppose under the Prevention of Corruption Act, if you want to institute some proceedings against an X person, and that act by itself says that the prior sanction is required. So if that is the case, so the same provision has been incorporated in the Lokayukta Act, and that is all.
So deemed acceptance has become deemed rejection when it comes to acting on the report of Lokayukta. Why make it so redundant?
See, there is no question of making it redundant. Yeah. See, what is important is, see, suppose if tomorrow Lokayukta passes a judgment or passes an order, Now that order will go to that report will go to the government. Now the government will look into it. Now the act says, mandates that the government should take a decision within 3 months. Assuming that the government fails to take a decision in 3 months, then what happens? Now the act says that no, it is deemed to have been accepted. Now you see, suppose if Lokayukta passes makes a judgment against you or submits a report against you, and in your opinion that is not correct. Now power is there with the government. Now the government has to give you an opportunity. Now there is a petition which has been filed before the High Court. It is pending before the High Court. High Court has the report has been challenged before the High Court. High Court has granted the stay, and so therefore the government felt that natural justice is definitely required. Supposing a government wants to reject somebody's report or accept somebody's reports, then notice has to go to the person. Person has to be heard. Once there is a power to accept, then definitely there is a power to reject. So as a result of which the amendment has been brought into.
So sir, when it comes to opposition, they are saying that you have institutionalized corruption via these amendments.
Definitely not. See, the Bharatiya Janata Party government is responsible for the enactment of the Lokayukta Act in the state. Bharatiya Janata Party government has appointed for the first time a Lokayukta in the state. So therefore, there is no question of institutionalizing the corruption. Moreover, the people, opposition parties who were ruling the state for so many years, in fact, they should have brought in these provisions. They should have brought in the Lokayukta Act, which they failed to. So Bharatiya Janata Party government in fact believes in the transparency in the administration, believes in the corruption-free government. If that is the case, as a result of it, this is a commitment to the state. So therefore, we have brought in the act.
Thanks a lot for watching this broadcast. Keep watching. Go ahead.
Marching to new heights of development under the dynamic and young leadership of Dr. Pramod Sawant. A visionary leader, a meticulous administrator, tirelessly working on the dream to take Goa ahead. Goa Ahead is brought to you by the Department of Information and Publicity, Government of Goa.